I remember the first time I started working. I think it was a restaurant in Sardinia where old people would hang around. Still nowadays, the smell of warm cotton napkins and the sound of forks hitting knives gives me, on one hand, a weird sense of captivity. On the other hand, I had money, my money, for the first time, and also the closest idea to escape the numbing, safe atmosphere at home. Always a too cozy obstacle between me and the world out there. In those side jobs, I would often meet the best and the worst people, the people outside my group of people. But it felt so alive that being paid on top of it felt almost surreal. I loved those jobs so much that I would always work here and there during my studies. I was making hardly enough to live on, but it really felt like I was living, if you know what I mean. I do believe also that I'm far away from not being an asshole today. I'm sure many people would agree with that. But also, I believe that had I not walked that path, I would probably be the asslest of the assholes among the assholes. Guaranteed. The day that we met, I think it was probably a month ago already, you were telling me about a time of your life where, pretty recently actually, you have suspended your, temporarily, I guess, temporarily, your bachelor studies in philosophy to
Yeah.
take a what doesn't have to be necessarily a part-time job in one of the best places to have a beer in Riga, in my opinion, which is Alabietis.
Yeah.
I realized in my modest experience that anybody that studied a bit of philosophy, you can tell by the way that in a conversation, people that have some experience of philosophy or studying philosophy, regardless you finish it or not, or
Right.
they kind of very specific and precise in articulating their thoughts.
Right. I'd agree, but I think that's less. It's it's less so that the philosophy studies change the
Mm.
people in that way. It's more like the people who are like I don't want to say critical thinkers. I don't want to like
No, no.
blow my bubble too big or anything. It's just that I think critical or and open-minded people just sometimes find their way to philosophy
Ah,
study, and also like people who have a wide range of interests, which
mhm,
I'm definitely one of those people. It was
mhm,
very hard for me to decide what to study, and
mm.
in that sense, philosophy is a very open subject, and it's so open to a discussion about well, lots of things, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, man, absolutely. I always saw it from if not giving you answering to big questions in life, at least there's something that might provide you a way to cope with life every day. Philosophy, maybe.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, or maybe yeah. I don't know what happened. What happened to you? So you started studying at the University of Latvia philosophy faculty,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden, like, what happened over there? Like you studied for a semester and then you decided to quit. Do you mind if I ask you what happened?
Oh no, that's fine. Yeah, I love the beginning of it of my studies. I met a lot of interesting, curious, and quirky people. They were all super fun to be around, and it was a blast to like bounce topics off each other, see what sticks, what everyone thinks. Um, yeah, and then that was surely a great time, and also the community aspect of what that university brings is I think it's hard to find that anywhere else. But yeah, all of these positives that I'm mentioning right now, they kind of fell apart once the second wave of COVID struck, and the
Ah,
studies started. Yeah, the studies started being held over Zoom or Google Meet, and I have an opinion that especially philosophy doesn't really work over the internet. At least like when you want to talk about philosophy, like seminars, for example. Because
mhm.
what ended up happening was either then yeah, and then being like an open-ended discussion. Um, the professor said a thing, And then, of course, everyone had to take part in the seminar. And what ended up happening was just a ton of raised hand icons on my screen, and basically everyone in line, one after another, said a statement, which by that point might have not been linked at all to what the professor had originally said. Just it became a matter of just saying something, and I struggle with that a little bit, because I didn't want to just say something. I wanted what I said to be well thought out and to be a meaningful part of the discussion. Yeah, but I guess I failed to notice that there was no discussion at all happening at that point.
It's interesting because maybe the pandemic and the remote classes with philosophy, particularly, maybe the same fact of having the pandemic and having them remotely made the classes less fluid in the sense of communication, but also a question could be raised that people are actually. This is a weird thought that I have. Maybe they might be booking and intervening in class just to make sure that at some point they will be asked a question and they can do whatever they want. You see?
Yeah, that was basically how it went. Everyone,
Yeah.
basically at the start of the seminars, everybody raised their little hand icons in unison, just so they could get their speaking part over with and just chill for the rest of the thing.
Which is killing the same idea of, as you said earlier, particularly philosophy needs a turf that has to be alive, that it has to be fluid, and that there has to be some sort of, allow me, maybe some human touch into it, and an empathic approach, and everything that is live in a dialogue that has to do with philosophy suffers enormously if you put it remotely, and it's just, unless it's 4 people, unless it's a class made by 5 people.
Yeah, I mean, unless people are able to talk freely, I think philosophy dies. There's nothing concrete in philosophy. It's basically, well, actually depends on what on different specific philosophies, because some of them have very specific ideas. But I think philosophy in general is based on the fact that we don't know anything. And that's where it's born. It's when people talk and disagree and try to find the truth together. And when it becomes just a series of statements, that's not philosophy anymore, in my point of view.
I agree. From my humble and point of view, that as a tourist of philosophy, but I would say is an exercise that we're not accustomed to do in society very often already, coming from the presupposition. I don't even know how to say that word. Presupposition. Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Presupposition of the fact that we don't know anything, even if it's just something that is not true. We're abandoning our values just temporarily in order to explore the world that we live in. Is a beautiful exercise anyway. But
yeah,
I mean, I think, in my opinion, I think that we should all do it a bit, just as a game or an exercise, in order to abandon some of the ideas that maybe they're too radical in us, and maybe I don't know, they don't allow us to see progress or change or things like that. So
yeah,
I guess.
I mean, philosophy is born from discussion, I'd say, and I think that's one of the things we talked about back then at Lobbyitis is the distinction between argument and arguments and discussions, and what people generally get stuck in, I believe, is arguing too much, and when they should be having a discussion, because nowadays I think with politics being especially brought into our everyday lives with social media and access to all the information all the time, people who never learned how to have a discussion get so heated over ideas and start arguing, and Yeah.
That is true. I mean, like it would be it wouldn't be it would be disingenuous to not to stress the fact that it's not easy. But you're not saying that. But I'm saying that it's not easy to abandon those safe. I don't know,
Yeah,
that safe harbor that in which we sometimes build our personality or whatever. Is the fact that
exactly.
it's not easy doesn't mean that we shouldn't do it. I think that if you are able to do it at your age already, and if you're exercising to do it at your age, life can the world is your oyster in that sense. Because normally, even personally, without going too far, I'm 36 years old. I think maybe I've been opening up a bit more in in my last 10 years. So I would be lying if I said that maybe before then I was very open with some topics or whatever. And there were so many dynamics involved with that. The reason why maybe I wasn't too open with that is maybe that was abiding too much of the logics of the group and things like that,
Right. Yeah.
and whatever. Um, but you're right. At the beginning, you said maybe philosophy gives you the tools to explore the world a bit more. But there is something that has to do with the person in the first place, right? You even before you studied philosophy, you were always. I mean, how did you get to want to study philosophy? What happened in your life to?
I mean, I've always been a talker. I come
Yeah.
from a theatrical family.
Okay.
Um, and I think there's a huge correlation between how well people speak and how they think. So I was in school on stage a lot. I used to like be the presenter for like um, competitions or like
Event.
ceremony events, yeah, graduations, and I've and we usually in English class we also sometimes had discussions, which I was pretty good at. I was good at finding arguments to defend my side, which now that I'm saying it is kind of the opposite of philosophy, because it's what I'm describing is kind of confirmation bias in a sense, because I'm just trying to find solid arguments for the sign that I'm defending, even if it's not really the right one. It's just a competition at that point. But yeah, just
I see.
I think being able to come up with arguments was the kind of incentive that made me believe that I would be good at studying philosophy.
I see. So you were. I like when you said talker. I kind of saw myself a bit into it, and like the day that we started talking, I was okay. I need to start talking with someone. We need to exchange something over there. I was
Yeah,
alone at the bar, and it was pretty fun to talk to you. And I was thinking, so you were already, so we'll say maybe philosophy was already something that it might have expanded, something that it was already in your life, which was the hunger for knowledge, and also to a point of exercising dialectic to the point that the subject
sure.
doesn't matter anymore necessarily. The subject is about the way that we can, previous to the philosophy study, the way that maybe we can argue and learn how to argue and things like that. And
Yeah.
so
I mean, for a
um
lot of philosophy students, there's also a bit of a sense of desperation attached to
ah,
the decision to study, because it was back in the first semester in September, I believe, in one of the first class sessions that we had, which was basically a Q&A with one of the professors. Yeah, one of the first questions that was brought up is by one of the students was, will we learn how to live, basically, or will we find meaning through philosophy? To which the professor said, no, never. That's
mhm.
totally up to you, and then philosophy doesn't necessarily teach that, though I think it can be a gateway that leads there.
Mm-hmm. Like I think that well, the first time that I talked to you, and even now that I'm talking to you, I sense that maybe because of the fact that we're talking about talking at the moment. We are not
That's true.
actually talking about anything yet, but it's still pretty fun. And
Yeah.
I meant when I talked to you, when I talked to Kristaps, maybe the first time, and even now, because of the actually the scenario that probably both of us we tend to create, which is very amicable and friendly and things like that. Usually, as you said, like the way that a person speaks is the way that probably he or she thinks. And
Yeah.
I kind of recognize ourselves, because I think what we try to do, we try to express our opinion, but at the same time we try to unroll a scenario that where we want to tell the other person the way that we are, and maybe also welcome the person, in my case, in your case, to have a conversation without feeling restrained about
Yeah.
anything. This is what I want from you, and I think this is somehow what you want from me, because I think that's the main way that we can actually have fun having a conversation, and we don't care about talking about taboos, and to a point we'll find out
Yeah.
soon. But I thought, so this is why I'm not saying that. I'm saying that in order to ask you the next question, which is, if you were to describe yourself and maybe find, just for the sake of interest, I'm interested in that,
All right.
find some aspects of your approach to life that are a bit more conservative. This is a conservative opposed to what? I don't know. You decide. You decide, honestly.
All right.
Are there any aspects, whatever, is a very open question, where Kristaps Lūriņš feels like a bit conservative, maybe considering the way maybe that we are talking from Latvia, the way that maybe ideas in Latvia are moving, or you decide how you want to answer to this question. It doesn't have to be about Latvia. It can also be about being conservative, about being polite in a conversation. It could be anything, but something that you feel
Yeah.
that somehow, and I'm done, I promise, something that you feel like that you have almost some blind spots about something, like your weak spot about something, the way you don't feel too malleable in a
Yeah.
conversation. What could it be, Kristaps? If you want to answer, you don't have to.
No, sure. I mean, right off the bat, I want to say I don't have like any extremist or conservative opinions politically. But I mean, being conservative, I mean, I mean, the word itself comes from conservation, you know, keeping something the same. And in that sense, I feel it more in my personality and not necessarily in my beliefs, because I don't attach myself to beliefs. That's one of the things I like that you said, is that people tend to attach themselves to ideas or standards or dogmas too much.
I was drunk, probably, but yes, I still believe that.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. No, I believe that.
Yeah. So the conservatism in me is more like
conserving the well-being of who you are in order to have a conversation.
Kind of. I'd say more like it's more along the lines of being a bit unwilling to change in some ways. Like it almost feels like trying to conserve or save the child in me, because one of my fears, for example, is that I'm afraid of people not liking me. So that's one kind of conservationist thing that I do is I try to be very careful when I speak, not like to offend anyone, and sometimes to the detriment of my own well-being. Yeah,
I understand what you mean, and I think that it's something that when you said it, I feel I can see myself in it. I imagine knowing that someone doesn't like me, and I say, oh my goodness, and and it strikes me in the way that it makes me think, really, I am this person. Oh my, what did I do? And I start becoming, what did I do to deserve that? And I think with age, I learned how to push that away a bit, not to care too much, but it's always been with me since I was younger. And
I think it gets actually worse when you actively keep doing it. Because imagine how bad it feels when you try to be the best person that you can and try to appeal to everyone, and some people still don't like you. Once you accept the fact that some people will never like you, or that it's just an inescapable fact of life that disagreements are going to happen, like people are going to think differently from you and have opinions about you. Once you accept that fact, then it becomes easier. I think the action of trying to conserve your image in other people's eyes is a
mirage. Yes.
Yeah.
I also got to learn a bit. I didn't learn it actually, like a drive or whatever. Communication is a beautiful tool that can be extremely balanced, in a sense that, for example, me and you, we can unroll that kind of communication that we want, that express our being as much as we want, but we can also put some with the tone of our voice, or according to what we say or hinting, we can establish some boundaries somehow. So in a way that I don't know, like there is a lot to learn in communication, in a sense of being able to express yourself and be yourself, and be able to be a bit what's the word, firm for some stuff. For example, when I was younger, I wasn't too good with that. I was very much extreme. I would be either too polite or I would lose it.
Yeah.
But now I'm learning actually to try to be myself a bit more in communication without losing it or being too polite. You see what I'm saying? I'm trying to make something a bit more fluid.
Yeah. In that sense, my newfound job has been a great asset, because working behind the bar day to day and interacting with up to hundreds of people every day, you do sometimes have to conserve yourself, with drunken clients, with people that harass other clients. You have to learn to take a stand for yourself, for your workplace, and for the people around you that that are enjoying beer, and maybe they don't like other people coming up to them and for example, flirting, because that's one of the things that happens a lot at bars, especially with men coming up to female clients, usually very, very drunk guys. And even though it may seem from the sidelines like it's all smiles, you still have to. You can't turn a blind eye to that just because everyone seems like to be happy.
Yes.
Take a stand. Yeah.
Yeah, but no, you're right. It's a great exercise because it forces you to come out of your comfort zone. And mostly, one thing that particularly hospitality teaches you, and also selling booze teaches you, is the fact that there is no way that when Kristaps is forced to go to some people and moderate them or tell them to fuck off, or excuse my French, or whatever.
Yeah.
There is no way that is going to feel, in my opinion, you're not going to really feel angry. You're not really going to feel angry anymore. You have to learn how to put a mask just because it would happen too often to really feel it all the time.
I think that once you get angry in hospitality, at that point, it's too late. You have to learn to acknowledge what's going wrong and take action immediately.
Yeah. And also, in my opinion, if you're really getting angry and you get to feel angry more than once, then hospitality is not for you, in the sense of not for you. I'm not talking about you. Hypothetically, for people that are talking, at some point, really, you're able to cry and smile on command with that job. It's very similar to acting somehow.
I agree.
I guess.
Yeah.
And that would serve you extremely well the moment that you're going to have a conversation where you can regulate your emotion and your mimic and your face, because it's not good to lose it all or to get along. So, but you have it. You understand that. You understood that probably before me because you have some experience in acting and already. That works.
Sorry, you were about to say?
No, no, like how's a like acting helps too, right? In a conversation.
Definitely. Yeah.
How?
That's something I'd had to think about for a sec. Well, for one, it's about being able to steer the conversation, is to and to be a little bit distant from what you're actually feeling. Because of course, behind the bar, I've had my bad days. I've had days when I feel like when I have a bad hangover or just have a bad moment in life, and I still have to like put on the mask and act my best self for the clients. So yeah, being a bit distant from your emotions, and also being distant from your emotions in like conversation, in the sense
Mm-hmm.
helps not to escalate the situations in a bad way. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
because for example, if you're getting angry and you don't act upon your anger, you can manage it and steer the conversation in a lighter way, I'd say.
Mm-hmm. The time that I was, I don't know, I think you might be in your 20s, right? Or even
Yes,
now I feel like an old man. Anyway,
that's fine.
the time
Age
when I was
nothing.
your age, the time when I was your age already sounds pathetic when I talk about. I remember that I think I was, I was kind of, I was losing it a bit. It was like somehow when you talk to me now, and you're a different person than what I was, and there is how acting is important for the conversation to take distance from your belief. Our philosophy does the same partly, and the fact that we are not our ideas and everything, that makes a lot of sense. However, the age that you are going through supposedly is quite stormy, or it has been already, maybe before. I don't know, like in terms of actually being able to control yourself and your emotions and your feelings. But it probably a crazy question. I don't know.
Yeah, I definitely. I mean, I used to be an angry kid. I was very easily upset back in kindergarten, and then the first 6, 7 grades of school. I was very easy to upset and to start throwing fists, and it was kind of a similar story at home, which I don't really want to get into that much.
Of course.
But
No,
yeah, it's
absolutely.
being not attaching myself to ideas or even emotions, actually, is definitely learned behavior. It's something that I've had to learn the hard way. And you say it that there's right now the times are a bit stormy and uncertain, and that's definitely the case. But I've had to go through
Mm.
a few storms in the past as well. So I think, yeah, you learn something with every storm, and hopefully come out a stronger person. And I don't want to say better, because what even is better? And that's a and where that better standard comes from, that's also important. If it's from other people or from yourself, just being stronger and being more capable to survive everyday life.
I think yeah, absolutely. If there is less drama, is already a success. I mean, I and that's why when we were talking at the bar that day, I remember we're talking about different things, and um, talking about stormy period of life. The storm never ends, by the way. It just
Yeah,
changes.
that's
It
oh
changes.
yeah, true.
The wind changes, and but
Yeah,
it's always the same.
there's always something.
Always something. But um, I was thinking, like, how does it feel? How do you feel now? Because now you're in a situation that reminds me a lot of my situation back in Sardinia when I was working at the restaurant, and that restaurant wasn't really as fun as La Bietis. It was really a
Mm.
boring restaurant with old people just going there and waiting in the corner, waiting. It was really boring. I would work in after in places that are a bit more exciting. But I remember in that day, I had taken a bit of a break That's the first time that I moved to London. I remember somehow I had always studied in my life before, up until I took a break. Like I did my Vidu Scuola in Italy, and I did
Yeah.
my bachelor degree in languages. Never mind if I finished it or not. But anyway, we have a similar past of studying. And somehow, all of a sudden, being accustomed to study all my life, even if I was happy working for hospitality, I felt a bit, what's the word? Disorientated a bit, like because I was taking an alternative path
Yeah.
for the first time in my life. And if on one side it was extremely exciting because it would give me the chance to get out of my group and meet people that normally I would never meet.
You're right.
Like really, that was really like a beautiful aspect in terms of from a life point of view. On the other side, sometimes I would go home and say, "What am I doing?" But not as in I'm doing the wrong thing,
Yeah.
Kristaps, but is, oh, what am I doing? I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, I totally get that, because when you compare like studies to actual everyday working life, I mean, life is and jobs are open ended. There's no end point to them. Whereas studies, you feel like you're always moving towards a certain point, whatever that might be for you. Like the end of the semester, the end of the school year, or the constant move towards getting your degree and maybe then another one. Whereas yeah, in working there's less rules. There's definitely less certainty as towards as to what you're moving towards, because in studies you also have indicators as to how successfully you're moving towards your end goal, and that's the grades. That's feedback from your fellow students and professors. It's kind of easier in that way to wrap your head around it, and to get a sense of how well you're doing there. Whereas yeah, just having a job is a lot less clear in that sense.
But there is a weird ingredient of freedom that we can't really expect, right? There is something about that job on the side, Labietis, or my
Yeah.
job back in those days. There is a something attractive that, apart from the money in the pocket, which was always nice, by the way.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Apart from that, there is this. We kind of somehow saying "fuck you" to the establishment a bit. I don't know, to the things that
Yeah,
we.
it does actually kind of feel like that, though. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's true.
and of course, yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I think that now that you mention it, I feel like um, that's a thing that I've been living with a long time, is a is a desire to fuck the establishment a little bit. I mean, definitely in terms of schooling, because I didn't really have an easy time during like Vidusskola. Um, I didn't show up very much, and although my grades were okay, and I finished that school, there was a sense of there was a sense that I'd been wronged in some way. Yeah. So
You were stolen your time.
yeah, kinda. Sure. So yeah, working a job in which I feel like I'm definitely growing and I'm learning and I'm becoming a more responsible and able person. It almost it does feel like now I'm fucking the establishment a little bit, because I've definitely over the I mean, if you compare my first 6 months at Lubbock and the 6 months I spent studying philosophy, as a person I've definitely grown more while I've been working.
Yeah, and also you earned it yourself.
Yeah.
So there is that kind of ingredient where, this is okay, might not mean a lot to you compared to that job, the philosophy job that I'm gonna get after a master or whatever and all that stuff, but I get respected here. This is me. I earned this. It's not a
Yeah.
lot, but I earned it. Absolutely. So
Yeah,
it's the
it
first
ain't
time that
money,
we
but
have.
it's honest work.
Yes, yes, and there is no, in my opinion, if you want to even get a bit more radical, there is no such thing as a second, like class B and class A jobs. I mean, I think that they for anybody that is creative or anybody that is interested in society, the window that a bar or a pub or anything like that offers
Mm.
you is a window to the world. So somehow, like, okay, clearly, maybe the only thing that I used to suffer in London or when I used to work at restaurants or things like that was the only thing that I used to suffer was the crazy rota, the schedule in the week, because my body would never get accustomed, because one day I would go to bed at 3, the other day, all the shifts were a bit, they were not regular. So
Yeah.
your body clearly, it, it needs the same time to go to bed and those things to get accustomed to something. So that's the only thing, but everything else was particularly exciting, and there was a career prospect or whatever. But yes, but it is at the same time the first occasion where to get to experience freedom and in a extra studying work, and then we get to know
Yeah.
people, and um I see. How do you feel now? How do you feel these days? So it's been a long winter. We God
Oh
knows. I
yeah.
mean, COVID seems to be evaporating in the conversation. It
Yeah.
has left room to more serious conversations that we all know. But how do you feel these days? Do you feel? I don't want to ask you to tell me what are your plans, because there must be a very irritating question. But like, what is it? What are your? How do you feel these days?
These days I feel like I've got a lot more stuff left to do at Lobbyets. There's still room to grow. There's still new things for me to do and learn, and it's been a blast getting to work alongside my colleagues, which are all great.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, as you said, it's a bit of an annoying question as to the future plans, because I found my life to be a bit easier when I'm not really that worried about my destination, where I'm
Yes,
going. It's just right now, it feels like I'm in the right place
at the
and
right time.
at the right time. Yeah, and it's definitely not the easiest thing, because as you mentioned, these schedules are tough, and especially when you're living alone. I think the toughest part of the job for me is mm, it sometimes gets a bit tough to take care of myself when you work 12-hour shifts, 4 days or in a row. um, there's not much time left over to you to clean your house, do the laundry, make some food for yourself, and then yeah, so those days I basically just exist in my work. But other than that, I think this is right now very good for me, and once I feel like I've done enough there, I'll see what I can do next.
Yeah, but also uh, it is important to be in that situation, and also I think that so yes, I do remember I used to have very little time for my life, but and that was the reason why sometimes I would stay over maybe for a drink or whatever, because that drink would make me compensate for the time of pleasure that, or like pleasure sounds like a stupid times of pleasure,
Yeah.
the times of entertainment. It sounds like a posh novel from the 18th, the time of pleasures with no,
Yeah.
but it made me compensate because of the weird hours. So of course we're staying over for a drink afterwards. Let's close the bar and let's stay
Mm.
for a drink and have a
Yeah.
conversation. I mean, there was
Wind
no
down.
way. Yes, there was no way after like three doubles in a row, and all the rota is all over the place. Is 5 to 7, and it was fun with the colleagues. We were already having fun together, so we were saying, well, let's stay a bit longer. I mean, no way. What am I going to
Mm.
do? I'm going to go home. It's already 3, and then go to no. I'm happy to go home at 4, and clearly that kind of catches up with you a bit in terms of it's not. But without that in my life, I wouldn't have had, or I wouldn't have the possibility to want to change that, or I didn't have to change it necessarily. So it's important to be in this situation. And what is it that you're
Sure.
learning? That you are you definitely great with people. I am witness to that. And you don't do it for you don't do it for the sense of duty. You do it because you are a people's person. You're a talker. You enjoy people. So there is already something that it kind of makes the best out of a job at the bar, because you enjoy a bit of company, a bit of people, or
Yeah,
whatever. What else are you moving towards the managerial aspect of it, like closing and opening slowly, or maybe
like
ordering?
closing and opening, or how do you mean?
No, I mean, like, are you slowly getting into the process of learning how to maybe do more admin in the place, like ordering merchandise?
Oh
Um,
yeah, I'm already there.
Perfect, perfect. So you really take care of that,
Yeah.
and I presume you're gonna be working this summer and this spring.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be interesting. Definitely gonna
Uh,
be fun. It's gonna be exhausting as well. Yeah, because yeah, the kind of sentiment going around the company is that you're not really, at least, and it's also like half a joke, because yeah, they say that until you have experienced a summer working at Labietis,
you
you
don't know.
really don't know how it is to work there. You're not like fully initiated.
But oh, beautiful. But also, it sounds like actually a great way from your colleagues to say you don't have an idea how much fun you're gonna have. It sounds, on one side, it sounds like a threat, but on
Yeah,
the other side, it sounds like an incentive to say, "Stay, Kristaps, because we're gonna work hard, but we're gonna play hard as well."
yeah. I mean,
So
there's no back door for me to go out of, right now, because there's also a sense of uh, me being needed right now at the bar, especially now that yeah, I've mentioned that I have extra responsibilities, not only as a bartender, which is also surprising for me at my young age, and having worked there for no more than 8 months, is how quickly people started like trusting me and giving me that extra responsibility, which,
Mhm.
yeah, for, mm, on one hand it felt a bit like crushing, like, can I do this? I'm so young, I have no experience doing this. On the other hand, you grow by doing stuff that you don't know how to do, and by
Yes,
now, like with summer just around the corner, um I can't back out. I'm needed there.
yes, and also it is yours. This is you earned that spot. You
Yeah.
know that is you. So maybe there is a part of our character that reminds me very much of, like, when I used to work in hospitality. It's like, okay, this is, I got this. This is me. You know, I just there's no my dad coming over and telling, like, making me study, or telling them, oh, Rook is gonna behave. As I didn't want to, like, it's just, this is me. I showed up. I'm here. I'm the next day I'm here. 3 days afterwards I'm here. If I'm not here, I pay for that. Nobody else gonna pay for that. So all this stuff, maybe together with a bit of gambling, in the sense that now, if it's all your responsibility, also your failure is also a responsibility. Everything is a responsibility, but
Yeah.
it comes with the adrenaline of feeling free, and also what a beautiful place, Riga, to be, especially now in summer and in
Oh
spring
yeah.
and summer, to be in this beautiful city that is no not particularly populated, which is, we can argue whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, definitely. But in the meantime, that's what it is, and being able to hang around after a long winter in the area of Labietis, which is Mieriela, or and go around and having 2 days in one, because now we're gonna have 2 days in one. The moment that it's gonna get dark at 10:30 or
Oh
things like
yeah.
that, so a
Yeah.
double is gonna feel longer. But
Yeah. I'm
yeah,
always
so
surprised after winters how good the sun feels, and
my God.
yeah, the feeling, the shift from the winter period to the summer period is always a bit strange. 'Cause,
Also yeah, go ahead.
yeah, because during the winters, I myself definitely do, and I bet a lot of people do experience this as well. Is kind of forgetting how different the summer feels, and
Yes,
I think yeah, with I mean, it's definitely going to be physically harder, to work during the summer. It's going to be challenging. It's going to be comparable to like doing a sport. I'd say, running around the bar, getting stuff you need, serving customers. But I feel like there's also going to be a lot more energy in me and my colleagues to do this, just because. Well, one of the reasons being that it's the summer and all the vitamin D and extra energy.
Yes, and somehow, like the country I come from, we have a less what do you call them, like less so I come from southern Italy, so the seasons are not that strongly separated from each other, in the sense in Latvia you have encyclopedia looking season. You have autumn that looks like autumn, you have summer more recently that looks like summer, spring, and winter you got the best of the winter. So it's interesting that somehow, me not being accustomed to this, even if I have lived in Latvia for 3 years, somehow this long pandemic has coincided in my head to the way that I would perceive normally winter in Latvia. So now there is slowly disappearing, at least in the conversation, because it's not disappearing, it's disappearing in the conversation, maybe. It feels like somehow like nothing, a slightly longer and weirdly longer Latvian winter. Now that it's over in my head, because it coincided a lot with being alone and not seeing a lot of people. And yes, I always say that in Latvia, spring makes you crazy. You have to understand, you have to live in Latvia a bit to understand the moment that all of a sudden there is more light, and you feel a bit crazy in your head, in a positive way of saying it, right? You lose
a spark
it
there again.
Yes, it's like somebody like taking you and just shaking. What the?
In a sense, it almost feels like waking up during the spring, like feeling fully alive again after the winter.
And that's what we do. I think that like animals, this is what we do. We spend more time in the house. We go in our some sort of we hibernate a bit in our brain. Somehow. We go out, and at the same time, with all the beautiful odors and smells in the city, like all of a sudden you smell flowers and the birds are coming back and everything. Now that we speak, unfortunately, we don't have a video, but it would be impossible for me and Kristaps to have a look at the window at this time of the day, 6:50, and still feel that it might be 4 in the afternoon. This is
The birds chirping get me every year. The second I hear the first bird chirps every spring, it feels like a little bit of life returns to me. Like, because the animals that left during the winter, they're back now. Life begins anew in a sense.
And that tells you probably the whole mentality of a culture that is built through season that are so strong. Is probably the way that people that have grown up in Latvia, or with all this season, whatever, they have their own approach to life, the way they apply thoughts in the way that is probably different from. I believe a lot in weather, and influencing that, I would say. But
with the 4 seasons, we kind of have a sense of instability in a way that our moods change depending on if it's summer, autumn, winter, or spring. And the further north you go, it gets more stable, colder. But the weather is more stable, and so are the people's moods. And as you go south, you notice the same thing. So I think Latvians are a bit crazy in that way because of the 4 seasons, because we go through phases every single year.
I think that makes a lot of. There could be one explanation, one possible theory for the fact that I have met a great deal of what's the right word? Extravagant people in your country, but in a good way. In a good way, I mean it in a good way. I don't mean it like like extravagant, like a way to say, like a euphemism to say. No, I mean
Insane.
I met a good bunch of people that stand out in terms of communication and I would say quirkiness, maybe the fact that are a bit out of unusual, and that is really fun for a foreigner because sometimes you, for example, a foreigner always tries to put people in boxes at the beginning in order to understand them, just in order to understand them. But then you realize that more than once I've come back home and I told my girlfriend, "Whoa, I met a character today. You don't know. It was, but not like a medical diagnosis, like a normal person, but totally. I think the right word is extravagant. No, extravagant. I don't know what's the word. Quirky, but yes, it doesn't like almost like there is a degree of dandiness, but that's not the right word again. I don't know, some sort of maybe the newer version of a bohemian. I don't know how to call it. I know a bunch of people in Latvia that you would say, well, I mean, if it's Christians, well, it's going to be fun. But not in the way, that okay, we're gonna, make fun of him. No, in the way that the conversation he has a degree of unpredictability and freshness to it. It's fresh. The conversation is fresh. You don't know which direction is going to take, and of course, every country has has this kind of, let's say, it could be related to the seasons. It could be that, as you said. Well, I don't know.
Yeah, sure. And I think the extravagance, in me, for example, definitely dies down during winter. It's like I'm living through winter, but not living it. And when spring hits, and you get the sense that you've been missing all this time, the light, the life around you, the warmth, and once that hits you, yeah, sure, I think it can make you go a bit quirky and extravagant, if that's what you want to call it. In that, you just let out all that's been piling up during the winter.
I kind of mean something that is a bit more adventurous and probably totally bullshit. That doesn't have to do necessarily with the fact that people are exploding in terms of character at the end of winter and when the light comes back, but more like somehow, like I don't know, like there is a similarity between the abruptness of seasons and how strong they are and how almost caricature they are in a good way, like because you got winter, like winter, autumn, summer, and spring that are particularly intense, with the characters that are particularly intense, with the way that's what I'm saying. But again, it just is a forcing the argument a bit. But because you see, in my country, we do a lot of tarantella and we do a lot of that. But somehow we almost kind of all do that a bit. And you could have the argument, well, in Latvia we are all a bit calmer. Yes, but somehow it feels that in your country, like there is less shyness for being unusual. I don't know, but maybe I don't know. I don't know where I'm going. I think I need more time, but I don't know. Or maybe it's me. Maybe I attract people like that because usually similar people attract each other somehow in a way.
That's true. I mean, you're a guy who likes interesting conversations, so you're gonna talk with people that say interesting things, and those are the people that are gonna like stick out to you.